name of God, all praise to God, and blessings and peace on the messenger of God, Muhammad. I'd like to start by thanking the brothers and sisters who made this event possible, the Muslim Student Organization here at Leicester University. And we'd like to thank our brother Abu Bakr for his beautiful recitation. The particular topic of our presentation tonight was ethical purpose in sacred law, priorities for tomorrow and the next day. There may have been some mishap in the transmission of topics, but hopefully it will be relevant to the one that you all have posted here. I'd like to start by laying out something of the context in which we're going to discuss this topic, ethical purpose in sacred law. We live in disquieting times. As we see more and more of the predictions of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam reflected in the times in which we live, it is cause for concern. We live in times where selfishness to the exclusion of the public good has become preeminent. إِذَا رَأَيْتَ شُحًّا مُطَاعًا, the Prophet says, وَهَوًا مُتَّبَعًا وَدُنْيَا مُؤَثَّرًا وَإِعْجَابَ كُلِّ ذِي رَأْيٍ بِرَأْيِهِ فَعَلَيْكَ بِخَاصَةِ نَفْسِكَ. When you see greed obeyed and every passion pursued in the material world of primary influence and every opinionated person self-impressed by his own opinion, at that point you're advised to keep to yourself and leave public affairs, because before you there are days that will require great patience. We live in times where faith itself is in the balance. The Prophet ﷺ in the Musnad of Imam Ahmed says, وَيْلٌ لِلْعَرَبِ مِنْ شَرٍ قَدْ اقْتَرَبَ فِتَنًا كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ. Woe to the Arabs for a fitna, a troubling discord that has drawn near. Like a portion of dark night, a man will awake a believer and go to bed a disbeliever. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. He sells his religion for some cheap trinket of the world. We live in times where seclusion from the din of the public space may be the only way for some to retain the safety and sanctity of the virtuous life. In the Sahih al-Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ says, يُوشِكُ أَن يَكُونَ خَيْرَ مَالِ الْمُسْلِمِ غَنَمٌ يَتْبَعُ بِهَا شَعَثَ الْجِبَالِ. The time is drawing near that the best property of a Muslim will be a flock of sheep that he tends to on the mountain sides and the places of rainfall. He flees with his religion from chaos. We live in a time where shallow and facile opinion passes as scholarship. In the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, the Prophet ﷺ says, لا يقبل الله العلم انتزاعا ينتزعه من صدور الناس ولكنه يقبل العلم بقبض العلماء. Verily, Allah does not take away knowledge by stripping it from the breasts of men. He takes away knowledge by taking away the scholars in death. Until there remains not one scholar and the people take ignorant leaders. They ask them, and these people give opinion without knowledge. They are misguided and they misguide others. We live in times that to retain an attachment to religion itself and to stand by one's principles is as to attempt to hold onto a red-hot coal. يَأْتِي عَلَى النَّاسِ زَمَانٌ الصَّابِرُ فِيهِمْ عَلَى دِينِهِ كَالْقَابِضِ عَلَى الْجَمْرَةِ. A time will overtake the people when the person who patiently maintains his religion is like someone holding on to a hot coal. For those who would be courageous enough during these very times to hold to the good, to adhere to the straight and narrow, there will be for them a tremendous station. The Prophet ﷺ, he sat in the graveyard of Baqiyah. He had just buried one of his companions, and he sat down next to the grave as the people left, and some of his companions remained around him. And he picked up a stick from the ground and began tracing, scratching something in the sand thoughtfully. And he said, "Wa shawqali ikhwani." Oh, how I long to see my brothers. And they said, "Are we not your brothers, O Messenger of Allah?" And he said, "You are my companions. My brothers are a people who will come after me and believe in me, not having seen me. For the one who does good works among them will be the reward of 50 of you." And he's pointing to his companions, the first generation of this venture of Islam. And they think that maybe he's tired, maybe he misspoke, but he is the Prophet of Allah. الَّذِي لَا يَنْتَقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيُ يُوحَىٰ. He says, no, 50 of you. And they say, "Why is that, O Messenger of Allah?" And he says, because لِأَنَّكُمْ تَجِدُونَ عَلَى الْخَيْرِ أَعْوَانًا وَهُمْ لَا يَجِدُونَ عَلَى الْخَيْرِ أَعْوَانًا. Because you find assistance in doing what is good and right, and they will find no help in doing what is good and right in their time. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst His brethren that He longs to see, that He longs to meet with at the end of time. In this time that we find ourselves in, the end of time, all of its descriptions and predictions that we find reported from the Messenger of Allah alayhi salam, the most important thing that the Muslim community can do is to hold on to its principles, to keep them alive. A story is often told by the scholars in the books of the virtues and etiquettes of knowledge. And this story is meant to exemplify the centrality of scholarship in this whole heritage of Islam. A scholar is observing a boy walking through the streets from a window above, and the boy missteps and slips and almost falls. And the scholar, in his concern, calls out to the boy and says, "Careful, watch your step, don't slip, that you might fall." And the boy turns around and he says to the scholar, "No, you be careful. Because if I slip and fall, it was a boy who fell. But if you slip and fall, a whole nation falls." This is to illuminate the position of the scholar. This is the position of the scholar in the Muslim community. If the scholars go wrong, right, the rest of the community goes wrong. The Prophet said, "Ithnan إذا صلحا صلح الأمة وإذا فسدا فسد الأمة." Two, if they are rectified, the affairs of this community will be rectified. And if they are corrupted, the affairs of this community will be corrupted. And he said, the rulers and the scholars. If this is the position of the scholars amongst this community of Muslims, this international or this global community of Islam, then this is the position of the Muslims amongst the community of nations. The responsibility of Muslims in the world is to uphold goodness. What does Islam itself mean? Right? After September 11th, everybody is rushing to the microphone to say what Islam means. It means peace. No, it means submission. Well, is it submission or is it peace? Well, we see that the entire natural order of the world is in submission and therefore in harmony with creation itself. We see that the trees, the seasons, the revolution of the planets, the orbit, the revolution of the earth and the orbits of the planets, all of them are working in harmony with one another, but it is man who has the choice to resist, to rebel against the order that was set for him. But it is when man relinquishes resistance to the program that his Creator has laid out for him, and he moves into a state of submission to the natural order of things, that peace inheres in his entire situation and all that comes into contact with him. It is through this submission to the natural